Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Consolazio. I am CEHN's Fall Communications, Marketing, and Design Intern. And I'm so excited to be here today with Madhvi Chittoor, our NOW Youth Leadership Awardee. This award was created as a part of CEHN's 20th anniversary in 2012 to honor our amazing director, Nsé Witherspoon, and it honors a young person who has demonstrated exceptional environmental health leadership, protecting human health, especially amongst our most vulnerable populations. And Mavi has done just that. She is such an accomplished young lady. She's the youngest UN Child Ambassador. She is a Time Kid of the Year awardee, a People Magazine Earth Day featured person. She started a nonprofit at the age of 6 and has led so many successful policy movements surrounding things like climate change and other environmental issues. So we are so excited to have you here today, and we encourage all of our viewers to take a look at Madhvi's impressive bio on our website and to see her in person, accept her award next week, October 9th, at our CEH Day celebration and award ceremony. So to get started, Madhvi, let's just break the ice a little bit and start off with a fun little question. So for me, I am a huge Swiftie, and with her album dropping tomorrow, I'm very excited to listen to it. So what I want to ask you is, what song or artist do you listen to when you need to feel motivated?
So, first of all, hello everyone, and I'm very thankful to have you here, to be here as well, and I'm also very thankful for the award as well. So, I also have heard of the Taylor Swift album coming out. Many of my friends have been talking about it at school today, actually. Um, but I do prefer something a little bit more unorthodox. I am a big fan of the classical composers, especially like romantic composers like Tchaikovsky, Debussy, Saint-Saëns, etc. Um, they just like bring something in me, and I also like compose that style of music as well. So,
Amazing. A girl with taste. I like it.
thank you.
All right. So you have been able to impact change across so many levels and by reaching such an incredible variety of stakeholders, heads of states, legislators, diplomats, businesses, artists, so many more. When advocating for children's environmental health to these audiences, what are the narratives or the stories that you think are the most effective or impactful when getting them to listen to you?
So yeah, you're correct there. I have spoken to like United Nations leaders, heads of state, state and local governments, businesses, and people of all walks of life. So I feel like when speaking to diverse audiences, like the most impactful narratives about mixing science as well with human stories, for because like children's environmental health and how the climate crisis affects it is definitely can be considered an abstract concept. And it's important to like make it more relatable and bring it into daily life. For example, talking about how air pollution would affect like a child's ability to focus in class, or and it also prevents them to go out to recess, or how contaminated water and food affects their future in many different ways. It makes it much more immediate and personal. Um, Another thing is I like to highlight children as like the most vulnerable, but also the most important and powerful symbol of our shared future. And it resonates with like people who think about national progress, like legislators and those United Nations leaders, as well as businesses who are considering sustainability and educators who will be shaping their the kids' lives. Um, what really unites these audiences is that protecting the environment is not just about like preserving the ecosystems. It's about safeguarding our health, potential, and dignity of the next generation because our like environmental justice and health justice is it is intergenerational justice. It's directly related and very important. Um, and also, I want to take a moment to say that as the youngest United Nations Child Advisor, I made history and played a very key role in the formulation of the UN General Comment Number 26, which are a set of guidelines for governments about protecting children's rights, which are affected by the climate and environmental crisis.
Wonderful. And I agree with all of that. Speaking specifically to that intergenerational role and kind of how do you make climate change, which is such this abstract, scientific, can be hard to understand concept in a lot of ways for people who it's not their everyday, it's what they choose to focus on. I definitely think that bringing in stories and making it personal for people, I think in a lot of ways some people don't really connect to climate change as an environmental issue. So instead, flipping that and say, hey, this is about your health, and not just your health, it's about the health of your grandparents, of your parents, of your daughters and sons and your friends. I think that is such an impactful way to get people across all different types of spectrums to listen to you. So I really love that. And kind of going off of that a little bit, we're kind of in an era of misinformation, a little bit of distrust in science and political tension. And I think young people, I know I feel this, feel voiceless or unsure of who to turn to for advice and support when we're talking about these issues. So, in these times of doubt or uncertainty, who do you turn to for support when, considering how climate change impacts young people the most?
What I do personally is like whenever I feel doubtful about like many different things, I first like think inward and meditate upon God. Like because I get to reflect and draw strength from my own past work, how I started and how important my work is because of the current plight of children all over the world. For example, like in the US, humongous oil well pads are now being permitted less than 3,000 feet from residential areas and schools, and that is directly affecting children's health. And there's also a lot of poverty issues in Asia, Africa, and honestly, all over the world. And even like what I have heard from the young people themselves, from many interactions with them, reminds me why the work I do matters the most. Um, my parents are also a very big source of reassurance, and I also lean on like science and scientific evidence because even with like political shifts or anything like that, evidence will always be a steady compass, and it like evidence can't lie as well. So whenever things feel overwhelming, I remind myself that I must definitely be steadfast and persevere more to empower children and youth and unite everyone into a big movement with lots of diverse voices, especially with children and youth, because like it'll show that change will is necessary and possible. So that's what Ecoethics Global Movement and my nonprofit Madhvi for Ecoethics is about, and I encourage all children and youth to join my movement.
Absolutely. And we didn't really touch on this in the beginning, but you've been doing this for such a long time. Can you speak a little bit to how you got so involved in fighting for children's environmental health and climate change? Just like a little bit, that would be lovely.
Yeah, I'll give like a small summary because there
Yeah,
is a lot to
I'm
it,
sure.
but but like when I was 5 years old, I watched like a CNN documentary, and I learned a lot about plastic pollution, how it is affecting the entire world. And like for example, in like Midway Island, which is an island literally in the middle of nowhere in the Pacific Ocean, is full of trash and aquatic birds, aquatic animals are eating those plastics and dying a lot because of them. And it also the microplastics are going into our water and going then into our food, which directly also affects human and children's uh, health. I've also seen from like many children that I've worked with that some people they could be deterred from speaking because they're also like a little bit more voiceless compared to like adults and like people of power. And that is a very big motivator for me to advocate for children's rights, children's environmental health, and those sort of topics.
Absolutely. I think something that's so important to remember is here in the US, around 50% of children are low income. So already they are at a more vulnerable state and can't advocate for themselves. And increasingly, we're seeing that the people who take care of them, who interact with them, are also not able to advocate for them. So it's people like you and all of our other awardees who are doing such amazing work and giving them a voice, giving them a platform to say these issues and to really fight, because that's what we need to do. And with this growing role of climate change activists in driving environmental change, what can more youth do to contribute and advocate for these issues? And how do you think the rest of the movement, say adults, can better support them?
So yeah, I agree that like people with like low income or like any like religious like beliefs, age, gender, race, color, and like many other different factors could cause like different like marginalized communities and disproportionately impacted communities. And I feel like all this like the equity between everyone is the most important. Um, and as they are like some of the most powerful and important voices in the climate movement and movements in general. Um, so one time I met a Bangladesh girl, it's a small story,
Sure.
who said that due to like religion and culture, she cannot speak up and her opinions will be dismissed. But I empowered her and told her that her voice matters and it will be heard. And I followed it up too. So, and another important thing is just raising awareness. It's the first step to change and like democratization of like environmental health education globally, which increases awareness and leads to like more knowledge for like children and youth. Um, it's like another very important way to make youth advocate for environmental issues, and that's a mission of one of my programs called EcoSteam Ninjas. And every young person can also contribute to this movement in many different ways. They can research, do any community projects, do art, storytelling, or even doing very small habit changes in schools, neighborhoods, or even just within their family and friends. What matters is that their voice counts. And then for adults and the rest of the movement, they need to listen genuinely and also create real platforms for youth to influence decisions. So it has to be moving beyond just symbolic gestures, but to more mentorship, resources, and then seats at the table in very important places where policies and investments are shaped. If, for example, in my case, I had to convince the heads of states to give me a seat at the table, which is where I presented my global plastic policy campaign to Madam Vice President Harris. And and also it's very important in the formulation of the UN General Comment number 26. And when youth see those contributions and they're actually leading to genuine concrete change, it definitely motivates them and the momentum will grow. And that's how like the momentum will stay alive and grow over time as well.
Absolutely. I think your name will be one that is remembered for a long time in this atmosphere. I think you're doing such an amazing job.
Thank you so
And
much.
of course, so to end off on our final question, this year CEHN hosted a series of advocacy trainings for child health champions. What would be your advice to these training champions? What do you think is the most important thing people can do to inspire change and equity surrounding children's environmental health in their communities?
So what CHN is doing is very amazing, and these training champions, I the advice is a lot of different things, but firstly, it's like fivefold. Like, one, you have to identify and study the problem that you wish to tackle and advocate for. Two, you must never fear criticism or any setbacks that are put for any reason at all. And that means three, to always keep persevering. Like, just never give up, even if things are hard. And also spread awareness about the problem because, like I said, awareness is the first step to change, and knowing more people means also um like more people knowing about it can also lead to larger movements, which is very important. And then finally teaming up to solve by like working together, making these groups and signature campaigns, etc., many different ways. Another thing is to start where you are. Like with the communities you know best, like your neighborhood, your school, anything like that. Because it doesn't always have to be like these sweeping policies. It never starts like that. It starts with these small, consistent actions that will build trust and momentum. Um, and like every single small effort will matter. And finally, the most important thing is to keep children at the center of every conversation. First of all, children are like the most important voice and most important people, especially since they're the next generation. They'll be inheriting this world. Um, it also is, it also cuts through like politics and societal complexity because everyone agrees that children should like they deserve like a healthy start in life and just like a safe world and healthy world to live in. And that's what will unite everyone. It's the most powerful ways to inspire both change and equity. So yeah, together for planet Earth.
Awesome. I could not agree more with everything that you're saying. I love those 5 steps. That is definitely something I'm going to remember and live by in my own life. And I just wanted to thank you again so much for being here with us today. And again, to all of our viewers, feel free to check out Madhvi's bio on our website and to come to CEHN or to CEH Day next week. Madhvi, is there anything you'd like to say to end it?
Together for planet Earth, let's fight. We must fight for our planet Earth, for our children. Every single effort is important. So, and
Amazing.
join my movement. One more reminder. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.